guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this channel is all about my journey throughout CRNA school. So today's video is going to be a year 2 recap video. If you guys are interested, let's get into the nitty gritty. So I still can't even believe that I'm at this point where I'm 24 months into the program and I only have 12 months left, literally 1 year to go, and I'll be absolutely done with this nightmare. I don't even believe it. Okay, so this video I'm gonna go over my spreadsheets like I have been in my other videos, where I go over each semester and then I go over the whole entire transcript for the last 2 years, and that way you guys can see the GPA that I have at this current moment. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna go over my iPad now. All right, so my semester 4 grades, I had 5 classes this semester. I had anesthesia roles, I had business manage, like a business class, I had surgical procedures 2, coexisting 2, and special population. So surgical procedures 2, I feel like, I mean, it was in the beginning, it was that professor that I had her for anesthesia equipment, I had her for, there's like the anesthesia principles, I think it was. Then she was our surgical procedures 1 teacher, and so we had her for surgical procedures 2. And she actually left, she resigned after the midterm, but she pre-recorded all of the the lectures till the end of the semester, and she made the final. So really, she taught the class, and so I got a 90 on the midterm, which was like a miracle to me because I had never been able to do well in any of her tests. The highest grade I ever got in an exam for her was an 84, which was my final from surgical procedures 1 in semester 3. So I felt like she actually was true to her lectures and stopped using the test bank that she said that she was using, and I appreciated it more. Like, I literally went through her lectures, and when she said, I think this is important for you to know, I went over those a little more in depth, and it reflected. I got a 90, and I got a 100 on my case study. She gave me a 98 on my paper. So I noticed on the first, so she graded me really harshly on one of my papers that because I didn't follow the rubric to a T. I kind of was like kind of using it as a guideline, but I wanted to make it more scholarly. So this one, I just followed the rubric, like the strengths of this paper, the weaknesses of this paper, and that's all she wanted. And I didn't feel like there was anything scholarly about it, but whatever. I got a good grade for that class. The pre-class writing assignment, so she had us read the chapter before class and do an outline of it, so we had to submit an outline. After she left, we still had to submit outlines even though she wasn't there. The professor that took over was like, this is her syllabus that you guys agreed upon, and I don't want to change it halfway through the semester, so just keep up what you were doing. So we did that. And then when it came to the final, I knew I needed nothing like out of this world. I forgot the grade that I needed because I already changed it to the grade that I got. I'd have to rewatch my semester 4 recap video, but I knew I needed something. I think it was close to a 70 or maybe even a little less, and I was taking the C exam at that time, so I just went in, took it, and did the best that I could, and I almost got an 80, so that's good enough for me, and I ended up with a 92 in the class. And then for special populations, this professor is one of my favorites, and I felt like I really enjoyed this class in general because we went over mothers, like pregnancy, we went over neonates and also geriatrics, but it was kind of fun because I feel like that's my background. On the midterm, I got an 85. This material was really heavy with information, and the test weighed a lot. She did have us do a few Apex workbooks and some discussions online. Like, she would ask us a few questions and we had to answer them, and they were pretty good because they were pertaining to the material that we had that was for the lecture coming up. So I feel like if I was going to be a professor, I feel like this would be the more advantageous way to have my students read ahead. Even though you could just do control find and find the answers, I feel like I had a better understanding of what material was going to be covered than just reading an entire chapter and just having this whole information, like unsure of what was going to be covered. This one, I feel like it was very like to the point, this is what you need to know. And I don't know, I feel like that would be more beneficial if I had to do these classes over, if they just had us do a few questions. I'm sorry, my dog is playing by himself over there and he's making a lot of noise. But anyway, so then on the final, I think I needed a 79 or an 80 or something, or maybe even an 81 to get an A in the class. But I was studying for the C exam, and I had already put the classes in the back burner, and I was 100% okay with getting a B, but I really, really, really wanted to do well. I did give this class 3 hours instead of just winging it for the other ones. So I got a 78 on the final, which gave me an 89 in the class. So I did get a B, but whatever, it's okay. Here, let me play with you, buddy. You're really starting to make a lot of noise. Then for coexisting 2, we had the C exam tied into this class, so not, because it was 30, wow. Wow. Why don't you go play outside, bud? I'm sorry. Because the C exam was 30% of the grade for this class, the other assignments weren't weighed as heavy. We had 2 quizzes. I did not so well on those, but I mean, they were only like 10 point or 10% of the class. So I got like an 85 and a 65, and the average was a 75 for that. We had Apex workbooks. We had a presentation. We had to do like a case study or whatnot. And care plans that we had to submit every day, the C exam, so it was pass or fail. And then the midterm I got an 87, and I thought, okay, I'm setting myself up really good for this class. And then I think I mentioned in my semester 4 recap video that I wasn't able to see the final grade for the class, but I know I got an A in the class. I needed a 41 to keep an A, so I assume I got something above that, but I didn't see the actual final exam grade. But again, I really didn't study for it. I just took it and ran with it because I was studying for the C exam, and I didn't care if I bombed all my finals because I knew that I would still end up with a B in the class. Like, no matter what, even if I got 30s on the finals, I'd still get a B in the class. So I felt like I was okay with it, and whatever, it is what it is. What I felt was more important to me was not failing out of CRNA school, so that's why I was prioritizing the C exam. Then anesthesia roles and business management, we had like quizzes, we had assignments to turn in, we had presentations and things like that. I didn't feel like they were anything worthy to write home about, so yeah, I got 2 A's in those classes. So let's go over semester 5. This semester was where we went into full-time clinical, and we had a leadership class in the background. So every semester we have our I'm sorry, dealing with a crazy dog. So now I've gone into the full-time clinical phase, and we had 3 classes. We had leadership, we had capstone, which we're gonna have until semester 8. So it's capstone 1 through 4. So I had capstone 1, and then we have clinical practicum it's like a class that covers the clinicals, like we just have to check in for that class pretty much. So for leadership, we had a policy brief we had to write. We had to do a professional topic presentation where we were trying to make a change in an anesthesia group or something like that. We had a group presentation where she gave us the topics she wanted us to cover, and then discussion posts weekly, and homework assignments that we had to get a subscription for a different site, and then it would just automatically go through. So I got an A in that class. And then for capstone 1, we were going over, we pretty much had to come up with the topic that we're gonna do, and also it was the first beginnings of the paper. We had discussion board posts, which kind of helped guide us to what we wanted to go with that. We had to write a paper on change management, a project management tool, kind of like a timeline, if you will. We did have to do a city course online, which you have to do because it's the IRB, to get IRB approval or whatnot. And then he had us do a Coursera course, which was kind of going over grammar and things like that, which wasn't bad. I just felt like it was extremely tedious, but got an A in the class. And then clinical practicum, this one is just we had to be at clinicals, and then you'd get a grade for it. So we had to do a case study on a case that we had. We had to submit daily care plans, daily evaluations, Apex modules as well. And yeah, so I got an A in that class, but I will say that the signed Apex workbooks really were tedious, and it kind of made me feel like I may not make deadlines, because it was like she would assign these study modules that we had to do, and it's like on top of the fact that you're doing in this semester we were doing 32 hours a week. You're doing 32 hours a week of clinicals. You still have classes online, and then you also have to do the Apex workbooks. It was kind of hard to stay afloat, but it was manageable. I still got A's, obviously, but I just felt like any free time I had, I was doing Apex workbooks, and I don't feel like the Apex workbooks are really beneficial to me and my learning style. But anyway, moving on to semester 6, we only had 2 classes, so we dropped the leadership course, and now we just had the capstone class, capstone 2 and clinical practicum 2. So capstone, we had discussion board posts, we had to do a paper on ethics, we had to do a paper on the actual project design that we're going to do, like if you're going to do surveys, or if you're going to do a meta-analysis or whatnot. And I just feel like these papers were extremely long for what they were. Like you could have literally submitted this as a discussion post instead of 5-6 page papers that we had to do. We did have to do an IRB like sample submission, which I felt like I kind of was going up in the air with that. I feel like if he would have given us maybe a sample IRB submitted paper, then it would have felt like, oh, okay, I know what I need to include for this, but whatever. And then we had an assignment where we had to submit all our academic works up until this point. I guess if you're going to be submitting to like a magazine, you have to prove that you can write scholarly papers. So that's what we did there. But after a certain point, he really wasn't giving much feedback, and he wasn't really like very present when it came to like discussing the actual assignments. It was more so going over the lectures, and I feel like if he would have gone over some of this stuff, I would have felt better about it. But I didn't get a grade until the last week of the semester, so I didn't even know if I was doing well or not. But I mean, I got an A, so we'll go with that. And then for clinical practicum, we had just the same thing to submit: daily care plans, daily evaluations. We had a case study. I got a 94 on that. The Apex modules and like mock exams that we had to submit. And yeah, I got an A in that. And I really like, as far as the goals that I set for myself, I only got 1 B, and I'll go over the transcript now. This is the updated transcript. I have all of the semesters in here. This is the end of year 1. This is the end of didactic. And then, so here, the last 3, semester 4, 5, and 6, I got a 3.8 for the semester for semester 4, and then 4.0s from there on out, which led my year 2 GPA to be a 3.9, and then my total from the beginning to now is a 3.79. So almost 3.8. So I feel like overall, reflecting on my grades for the whole year, I feel like I did well. I feel like I almost hit that 4.0 goal, and I'm okay with that. I really did prioritize the C exam when it came to semester 4 toward the end, that I really needed to get to pass in order to keep going. But like the actual stress, I feel like when it comes to like failing and succeeding in school, I feel like that's kind of gone. Now it's just a matter of, performing and doing all these skills and things like that. And I feel like I'm okay with that. I'm very much better with the hands-on stuff than it is with the I don't know how to say it, the conceptual knowledge and whatnot. Like I feel like I learn best when I do things. So like even when preceptors would ask me questions that pertain to things conceptual, I feel like if I've experienced that in practice, like I really do feel like I understand it because I've done it. I had one preceptor that she took over a room and she just was grilling me. And I feel like I was able to keep up with her. And I told her at the end that I was grateful that she did that. And, this is the first time I had even met her, and I was like, I feel like because you don't know me and you don't know what I'm capable of and like what knowledge base I have or where I'm even at in the program, like I feel like it really did help to reinforce that I do know a lot of things. And like, I have a lot of stigma about myself coming from a NICU background, and she gave me some really positive feedback. She's like, I gave you some pretty tough questions and like pretty tough scenarios, and you were able to think them through if you hadn't experienced them in practice, and you gave me your rationales and things that you thought through, and like you know, she was really impressed with that. And I was like, you know, there's times where I'm just like, I'm not good enough, or I don't think I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna make it, and things like that. And that's just like me in my own head. And then there's days like that where I do well, you know, because I've had some preceptors that grill me and I don't know, you know, and it's something that I've not experienced or I forgot. And, you know, they keep me on my toes. And it's really important for days like that, like even though they suck, and even though you feel like really humbled because you don't know the material and you really do want to know it, like my biggest stressor now is that I don't know everything, and it's impossible to know everything because I didn't go to medical school, you know? I didn't go through an anesthesia residency like that. So it's hard for me because I hate not knowing and I hate looking like a fool. And this year has really, well, this last 8 months has really like humbled me to the point where it's like, if I don't know it, I really do go and research it because I don't want to be put in that situation again, and I don't know those things. So it's like, these are the things and the moments that help you reinforce these memories, because you kind of have this like negative stigma about it. So then you're like, oh, well, I had this bad day because I didn't remember the muscles in the adductor canal block. And it's like, now I won't forget them, you know? So it's really important, the clinical phase and the didactic phase. And I feel like as far as being in a front-loaded program versus an integrated program, I'm at a point where I feel like it's starting to make sense, where the things that I learned before and the things that I'm learning now are kind of like going together. I still feel like there's a lot of disconnect. I still feel like there's a lot of growth, but I'm happy for this last 8 months, and I'm looking forward to the end of this torture. But as far as my year 2 recap, like I'm really grateful to be done with didactic. Like that kind of stress, I am so grateful that it's over. Like I'm an okay student, but I feel like I really had to like push the limit on that because I don't feel like I'm the greatest, and I feel like I have that fear of failure, and now that's like not there anymore, and I feel a lot better about it. But I still really want this torture to end. But yeah, that's the end of my year 2 recap video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.